Well, here we are at the end of 2023, and wow, what a crazy year it was. I was able to ride over 150 different roller coasters this year, with over 120 of them being new credits. This year, we not only rode some of the biggest, baddest coasters America has to offer, but we were finally able to cross over the Atlantic and explore Europe and see what rides and attractions they had to offer. So at the end of every year, it's time to find the best of the best and rank my 25 favorite roller coasters around the world for 2023. So let's not waste any more time and just dive right in. Kicking off the list, we have the king of B&M Hypers, Mako. I've ridden this coaster more than any other roller coaster, so I've experienced the slowest morning rides and the fastest night rides, and even after all of those rides, it's still one of the greatest roller coasters in the world. No other ride has the airtime that Mako has. It's just consistent back-to-back floater hills that try to fling you out of your seat at every single turn. No matter how much I ride this coaster, I will never get tired of it. This ride truly perfected the B&M Hyper model, and I think it'll be a while before we see another one as good as Mako. I know I said no B&M Hyper could be better than Mako, but I never said anything about an Aero Hyper. For being the first ever hyper coaster, it holds up really well. The layout is extremely simple, but yet so powerful. The first half has some amazing floater airtime, and right after the turnaround, you go through those deadly triangle hills. The back-to-back-to-back pops of scary ejector airtime is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's personally one of my favorite classic roller coasters, and this coaster alone makes me want to return to Cedar Point next year. When I think about a smaller coaster that packs a vicious punch, introducing Storm Chaser. The airtime on this ride is killer. Nearly every element gives you that insane RMC airtime. The pacing is where this ride is going to shine though. It holds its pacing better than 90% of roller coasters. However, compared to other RMCs around the world, it's just too short for my liking. And it doesn't pack a punch that some of these other rides do, but it is still without a doubt one of the craziest coasters out there. I didn't know what to expect going into Flight of Courage because the Raptors get such mixed opinions. However, I love them. The first drop is phenomenal, especially in the back row, and the inversions truly make this ride what it is. It is one of the best zero-G stalls I've ever experienced. The zero-G roll is also actually really fun, because of the single rail design, the inversions just feel so much more fun. And all those airtime pops deliver such strong projector airtime. Plus, that extra ending with the wave turn and overbank, in my opinion, added so much to the ride, and it was one of my favorite parts. I did not think this would be my favorite in Magic Mountain, but that just shows how good of a ride this really is. Orion continues to be one of my all-time favorite roller coasters. This ride is one of the best first drops on any ride out there. Plus, it packs a punch with its insane speed and pacing. Even though it may not be the longest roller coaster in the world, it definitely is one of the best. The airtime is also incredible. The back-to-back speed hill and massive bunny hill is one of my favorite moments on any coaster, and it just ends with a bang. Any front row ride on this is one of the best experiences you can find on a coaster. Without a doubt the best ride at Kings Island, and it also gives one of the best night rides in the world. Now here's a ride that continues to blow my mind year after year, and that's Copperhead Strike. The ejector airtime is deadly, and I mean deadly. Plus, I'm a sucker for some hang time, and that's a majority of Copperhead Strike. This ride is just constantly twirling around itself super quick, and it's consistently making you wonder what on earth is even happening. It's such a fun yet chaotic ride, and I absolutely adore this coaster. Now you want to talk about an intense, snappy, powerful roller coaster, then you got Maverick. This ride proves that size doesn't matter at all when it comes to roller coasters. The speed and pacing on this ride is on a whole other level. It has one of the craziest first drops in the world. The transitions happen in a blur, the ejector is deadly. Pack that all with 2 inversions, 2 launches, and a crazy Stangle dive, and some other powerful ejector hills, and you got a world-class ride. I mean, listen to everything I just listed. Sure, the restraints aren't the best, and the ride itself isn't the longest, but it's still an action-packed coaster that without a doubt is one of the best in the world. Our first coaster from Europe, and it's one that caught me completely off guard, is Helix. This ride is absolutely insane. It is Mack's perfect coaster. The fact that this ride just follows the terrain so seamlessly is incredible enough, but it also packs one of the best layouts of all time, loaded with unexpected inversions, snappy transitions, and incredible airtime. Plus, it's a long ride that kicks off the second you leave the station. It's just a perfect coaster that had me in awe throughout my day in Liseberg. Helix alone is worth the trip out to Sweden. This coaster is amazing. Lightning Rod is a beast. The launch at the start is always fun, but the layout is just madness. That first wave turn is something, with that crazy suspended ejector pop it gives, and the second one is really good as well. The Outer Bank Tail is one of the strongest pops of airtime you can find. The quad down is phenomenal, but what really makes this ride is its crazy pacing. This ride holds its speed from start to finish, which provides a crazy intense coaster. Riding this last year in the freezing cold, dropping behind the mountains at sunset, made me feel like I was traveling through a pitch black tunnel, and seeing the Christmas lights across Dollywood while going down the quad down was a sight I will never forget. It really made me appreciate this ride so much more, and I'll be back at Dollywood to marathon it with the new lift hill. We'll see how that changes this ride. Just one-upping Lightning Rod is Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom, and this ride is special. The first time I rode this ride, I remember being blown away, because the airtime is so insane and the pacing is just phenomenal. Basically, imagine if RMC made a normal steel coaster. Introducing Lightning Run. I'm so shocked this ride is really the only one of its kind still. Sure, there's one going to Arizona, but this is long overdue. This ride should be at every single park. It's super smooth and has what I think is one of the best first drops of all time in the back row. It's intense, has some quick transitions, and its airtime is just on a whole other level. Another severely underrated coaster. I know this may be a family coaster, but it's the greatest one of all time and will probably never be topped. You cannot find another coaster quite like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. With over 100 rides in only a year and a half, this is one of my all-time favorite coasters. The ride itself is so unique. The backwards launch is always exciting, and the spinning movement along this coaster's winding layout is just so unique and something unlike I've ever experienced. It can be intense in some sections too, and the theming is just phenomenal. Every ounce of this massive building is themed, and when I get a ride on this with Everybody Wants to Rule the World or Iran, it's truly one of my favorite attractions. Toutados was my most anticipated coaster heading into Europe, and it did not disappoint. The theming on this ride is surprisingly really good, and man, what a layout this ride has. The first half is super snappy, and each launch delivers a crazy kick. The airtime throughout this whole sequence is also legendary, and after that top hat, the coaster has just non-stop action from start to finish. The stall is amazing, the straight airtime hill is amazing, the double up at the end is insane, this whole ride is just lethal. It truly feels like a battle in the best way possible. Definitely the best coaster in France, and one of the best in Europe. Fly is just a beautiful coaster. It shows how much potential a flying coaster really has, cause I've never been that impressed by a flying coaster until Fly. It's equally as good on-ride as it is just watching it off-ride. The whole start to this ride is just so epic, as it has a whole show scene before the launch, and experiencing a launched flying coaster is just something so different, and I love it. The inversions are snappy, but this ride just leaves you wondering where you're going. The theming is insane, and the ride is super smooth. It's just an absolute blast, and I really wish I got more rides on it. Conda is the perfect mega coaster. It is arguably the snappiest and greatest first drop of all time. Every airtime moment on this ride delivers, it's really forceful, and all those pullouts and the speed and pacing on this ride are perfect. It does not lose its speed until it hits that brake run, and it just delivers the craziest sequence of elements possible in a minute-long experience. Just standing in front of this coaster was an out-of-body experience, let alone riding it. It is without a doubt one of Intamin's greatest creations yet. Tomorrowland's Ride to Happiness might just be the most chaotic roller coaster in the world, and I am not complaining. The ride itself is all around insane, but the spinning just takes it to a whole new level. The Jojo roll at the start delivers some insane hang time, and the launches actually have some kick to them. Every airtime moment just tries to fling you out of your seat, and the inversions while spinning just disorient you from start to finish. Even the second half of this ride is just as crazy as the first. It's truly the most out-of-control ride you can find out there that has some surprising force throughout the whole layout. Fury 325, what else do I need to say? The speed of this ride alone is top 5 worthy. Its low to the ground start is one of my favorite elements to experience, and the way this coaster just transitions so low to the ground at 90 miles per hour is a feeling like no other. And when this ride goes over an airtime hill, it doesn't just gently lift you up into the hill, no, it throws you into that hill. Combine all this with phenomenal pacing and a legendary first drop, this ride is just perfect. It's super smooth and just glorious. It's B&M's masterpiece, and I believe it'll be a while before we see another coaster by them as good as Fury. Twisted Timbers is incredible. The more I really thought about this ride, it's just so perfect in its own way. The drop is so much fun, the 3 bunny hills are absolutely incredible, the trick track double up might be the strongest ejector I've ever felt, and the ride overall is just chaos, and I live for it. The pacing is so good, most of the elements are low to the ground. When this whole ride starts off really tall, it just makes every element that much more special. The inversions are fun, but the constant ejector airtime coming at you from all angles is what really makes this ride. I cannot wait to go back to King's Dominion to marathon this ride over and over again. Riding Geschwordes was a dream come true. The queue line for this ride is amazing, and the whole build-up and setup is so well themed that by the time you get on the ride, you're already heavily invested into the story. I won't say what happens, but what does happen on that vertical lift is absolutely insane. And when you get to the top, you experience the greatest first drop of all time. My back row ride on this is a core memory because of how good and relentless that drop was, and the rest of the ride is just sheer intensity loaded with high-speed transitions and good airtime moments. Plus, the inversion at the end just ends this ride perfectly. I already had high expectations for this ride, and it somehow blew it all out of the water. What else do I have to say other than it's Steel Vengeance? This ride still is just absolutely incredible. Just thinking about this ride makes me want to go back up to Cedar Point. It needs to happen. I've said that like twice already. When thinking about this coaster, you think of the crazy ejector airtime, deadly transition, and an action-packed layout from start to finish. Now, all this is true. There's not one dull moment on this coaster. From the drop all the way to the back-to-back ejector finale, it holds its pacing and its forces. There really isn't any other coaster like it. It's still one of my personal favorite RMCs and still one of the best coasters in the world. Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Wow. Every time I ride this ride, I forget how good it is. It blows my mind every single time I ride it, and I don't think there's another coaster that does that. The drop is messed up, the first Outer Bank is absolutely killer, the death roll is as crazy as it looks, the wave turn literally tries to kill you, the airtime finale at the end always leaves my thighs with massive bruises. Riding Gwazi on a hot summer day too is just insanity. There's no other way to put it. This ride just shouldn't exist, but somehow it does, and I'm so happy it's only a couple hours away from me. If you would have told me that this year, I would have found my favorite RMC in the world, and it was at a Fun Spot Park, I would say you are out of your mind. But here we have Aerie Force One, quite possibly the craziest roller coaster in America. John Aerie and RMC really outdid themselves. Every time I ride this coaster and I come into the brakes, I'm out of breath. The drop in Raven Pass is an amazing way to start the ride. Follow that with the best zero-G stall and Outer Banked hill in the world, along with the craziest Flowjector hill, and a super intense back section. Oh, but wait, we're not done. The most intense sequence of airtime in the world with that quadruple down. It's actually scary how crazy this ride is. Every time I get ready to ride this thing, I know I have to brace because my thighs will come in more bruised than they were when I got on. Yeah, Jurassic World Velocicoaster is still the real deal. From the amazing theming, the powerful launches, the best inversions on any roller coaster, the deadly airtime, the amazing night rides, the queue, the entrance, the whole package, this ride is just amazing. The first half is just perfect. Insane and snappy elements, amazing airtime, stunning rockwork and landscaping, but not too intense. Until it launches you into that second half, and it's just so thrilling and so good that by the time you enter the zero-G stall, you already forgot about the first half and are just focused on what's happening now. This ride is just incredible. It's still my favorite coaster in Florida, and I just adore this roller coaster. Kicking off the top 3, which funny enough are all Intamins, we have Batman Gotham City Escape. Now this ride exceeded all expectations. It was the first roller coaster I rode when I got to Europe, and wow, we kicked it off with a bang. I had such low expectations, and they were blown into another dimension. The launches on this ride have such an insane kick, especially the first one. And the first inversion in zero-G stall especially has some of the greatest hang time I think I've ever experienced. The top hat's really good, and all the transitions on this ride are super snappy. And the airtime is crazy. There's so many hidden moments on this ride that you just don't expect at all. Plus the theming is really good as well. It's one of Intamin's best launch coasters, and I would say the best new coaster for 2023. Intimidator 305 is without a doubt the most powerful, most intense, most intimidating coaster I've ever ridden. It's in the name. The first turnaround almost made me pass out because of its force, and that's not a joke. The airtime is really good on this ride, and these transitions, dear lord. How does this exist? How is this legal? It whips so fast into the other direction that you just don't know what's coming next. I don't even know what to say about this ride. It really is the only ride that has left me speechless, especially since my rides on it were in 108-degree heat. I thought it was going to kill me. I want to get back on it so bad. Its forces, crazy speed and pacing, and airtime is what makes it my favorite coaster in America. However, my favorite roller coaster for this year is one I just was not expecting to be this high on my list. So it has to be... Yeah, if you would have told me Taron would be my #1 coaster after my rides on it, I would have called you crazy. I was a denier of this ride for so long, but here we are. The launches are so forceful, the airtime is so strong, and the transitions are super snappy. It almost combines all of Intamin's best creations into one coaster with phenomenal theming. This ride moves so fast and goes through the elements with such speed that you don't know what's happening the entire ride. It's impossible to map out. It's just mind-blowing how this coaster even fits in the space. All it does is just cross over itself constantly. It's super intense, it has the perfect length, phenomenal theming. It really has everything you want in a coaster. I was not expecting this at all before I rode it, but I can safely say Taron is the best coaster in the world. Well, there we have it. My personal top 25 favorite roller coasters in the world for 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you guys agree with any spot on this list. If not, I understand, everybody has different opinions, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already yet. You thought 2023 was crazy for theme park hunting? Just wait till 2024. We have some amazing things planned that I cannot wait to show you guys. If you ever need any non-copyrighted footage or just want to see some high quality POVs, then make sure you check out my second channel, TPH Productions. As always, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting. I'll see you guys later, and follow the thrill.